Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Janice, our love, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Have you ever been going through your life and suddenly you just ran out of steam, almost like you ran out of wind because of life's challenges? Well, you do not want to miss this episode where you will learn how to get your second wind. Join us. As you can see, I have a lovely guest here with me for episode 4 of Asking for a Sister Friend. And let me tell you a little bit about her. First of all, let me tell you the fact that I respect this woman so much that I joined her board when she was running an organization called Gateway of Hope, and I stuck with her the whole time. But anyway, our guest today is Dacia L. Moore. She has an MA, a LPC, an NCC, and some of them I don't know what they mean, but NPC, you'll have to tell us about that. She is a professor of mental health education. She's an author. She is a radio host of a Winds of Change Mind Therapy Thursday on Gospel 1590 KPRT. She's the first radio personality that I know. She is currently the president and the CEO of Second Wind Counseling and Consulting, which we're going to hear a lot more about. Now, she's originally from Brooklyn, New York, I learned, but was raised in Detroit and has lived here in the Kansas City area for a number of years. She attends church at Sheffield Family Center and happens to be on the board there as well. And again, I mentioned she is a former executive director of Gateway of Hope Ministries here in Kansas. So again, that's how we met. But I want to bring to the stage, welcome everybody, Dacia L. Moore.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Janice Love. I appreciate that kind introduction. Hello, everybody who is here and those of you who will be watching in the future. How you doing today?
That's right. And if you happen to catch the replay, let us know you caught the replay. Yeah, so we got lots of people saying hello to you. All right, so you have an organization. You started Second Wind Counseling and Consulting. How long ago did you start that?
2003.
2003. So tell us how this all came to be in the first place.
Well, the short version is I went through a very difficult period in my life, was feeling bad, depressed, anxious, all of those feelings that happen when your life suddenly changes, and went through a divorce and sought counseling only because I had to, but my counselor helped me. And at the end of my time with her, this was way back in the 90s, at the end of my time with her, I said, I want to help other women the way you helped me, because it was liberating to unpack all of that baggage, not just from the failed marriage, but from childhood, some things that happened in college. And I was really just able to unleash all of that burden. So I went to counseling school and specialized in what's called REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy. So I went to get that specialization about 2 years post my my master's degree. And then I opened Second Wind in 2003 to primarily help African Americans learn the value of counseling, because we have such a stigma against counseling, rightfully so, historically so. And so I wanted to help break down those barriers and have people consider counseling. And so that was what was one of my goals in starting Second Wind.
So what is something that you would typically say to somebody who really doesn't, who just doesn't see the benefit of counseling, but again, know they need something? How do you typically get them to engage in counseling?
Well, what I say is, if you have tried everything else, you've tried books, you've tried prayer, you've tried talking to your pastor, your girlfriends are telling you, girl, I can't help you, you need to go get some help. I mean, if you have external people suggesting to you that your issue is beyond what they can help you with, and you've tried everything else, it might be time to consider counseling. Now, counseling is not for everybody. I think everybody would benefit from counseling, but you have to be ready to be in a trusted and confidential relationship, and to be vulnerable, to be quite honest with you, because you cannot solve a problem if you don't look at it. And counseling is a way to look at your problems in a very safe space, to be who you are, say what you want to say, but find ways to put things to rest or to come to terms with some things. I had a client this weekend, and she just has had a lot of loss in her life from early 2000s, and she is still struggling with that. So her friends can't help her. And what happened is that she broke down at work. And her boss was like, girl, what is going on? Because she has been a good worker, but she's stuffed. All of these losses, she has stuffed, hasn't gone to counseling, stuff kept going. She was a strong one in the family, the strong Black women, archetype. And one day it just all came out, and she was crying inconsolably at work. So, when things like that happen and you find that you are just at your wit's end, counseling might be an option.
And oftentimes I tell people, sometimes you don't even have to wait till you get all the way to where you just have lost hope completely. You can actually go to counseling for goal setting to try to get to where you want to be, right?
Absolutely. I mean, most counselors have the capacity. What happens is you can go for goal setting. You're absolutely right. And what happens when we're pursuing our goals is fear gets in the way, insecurity gets in the way, imposter syndrome. We don't, we're not showing up. I had another client recently, and that is her issue, imposter syndrome. She is on the couch helping people. She's a professional. She's helping other women, but she's not doing what she's telling other women to do. And that is incongruent. And that is what will feed her imposter syndrome. And so we're going to work to help her become congruent so that you can overcome those obstacles. Whatever goals that we have, there are going to be obstacles. There are going to be barriers. There are going to be challenges, and there are going to be naysayers and critics. Why are you doing that? Who do you think you are? I mean, just all of that. And so you deal with all that yeah from outside and inside your brain. And a counselor can help you with that.
I don't know. I might have to set up a appointment with you, because I got some going on in my head. Start my new adventures. All right.
We all have It's a matter of it's a matter of putting it in its place, and that takes practice and skill.
Exactly. So we are talking about finding your second win. So tell me, how do you even know you need a second win? Or define what a second win is, first of all.
Sure. Well, a second wind actually comes from the marathon runner's field, where a runner is running a long race. They start out strong, they're running, but they get tired. But if they just keep going, they will get their second wind and successfully finish the race. So second wind has to do with endurance. It has to do with perseverance. It has to do with confidence. It has to do with believing that you can do it. And it has to do with finishing what you start. Many people start, they started back in January with all these goals. Well, this is March. Are you still pursuing those goals? Because it takes a while. It's like planting seeds, Dr. Janice. When you plant a seed or even a seedling, it's going to take more than 2 or 3 months for it to grow into what it's supposed to become. So you have to have patience. You have to have the fortitude, that internal fortitude, when you have those goals that are and dreams within yourself that you want to pursue. You have to have the fortitude to just keep going. And that's what second wind is all about. If you just keep going, and sometimes you have to take a break, get a glass of water, talk to somebody, talk to a friend, get some encouragement, and then you get back in the race and you keep going. And that's what counseling will do. That's what coaching will do, is help you to get and stay in your race, because the Lord has a plan and purpose for you, but your enemy has a plan and purpose for you as well. And so we want to be successful. We want to win. We want to have courage, and we want to have a champion mindset where no matter what, I am going to pursue what is in my heart, and I'm going to do it.
I love it. I love that your organization is called Second Wind. There's just something so positive about that, because that means at one time you were moving, you were on the right path. You were giving it your all, and then again, all this stuff comes in and causes you to lose that sometimes focus or just plain old energy, because maybe you're fighting against so much. I'm thinking about in relationships how someone needs a second wind because of a relationship challenge they've been in, and how do they get that second wind, for instance, if a relationship can't be revived?
Well, so there's some core things that I teach every client, as well as when I give workshops. And one is your hula hoop. And imagine, when you were a girl, you probably had a hula hoop, and I know you did. I know you did. I know you did. So, you use that imaginary hula hoop as an imaginary boundary, and along with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Those are things outside of your hula hoop. Courage to change the things I can. Those are inside your hula hoop. And the wisdom to know the difference. In relationship, we often try to change the other person, but whose behavior can you control? Whose behavior can you change?
Nobody, sometimes not even my own, right?
Exactly. We have a hard enough time with managing ourselves, much less somebody else. Now you can persuade, you can influence people outside of your hula hoop, but nagging, complaining, cajoling, begging, bribing, those strategies do not work. So what you have to do in relationship to get your second win is you have to focus on what's in your hula hoop, which is you. You have to become healthier yourself, because in relationship, it's an interaction. I sometimes have people bring their child to me. I don't do child therapy anymore, but they used to bring their child to me and say, Miss Dacia, fix her, fix him. Well, no, it's not one person who has the problem. It is the interaction between you and that child. So it's the interaction between you and that spouse that has declined. And so what you can do is you can get your second wind, and that may invigorate the relationship. It might not, because you know what? It takes two to tango, right? So that other person has to be on board with trying, with getting some help, maybe going to therapy themselves. But to affect a change in a relationship, start with yourself and start getting yourself healthy. Yeah.
I love it. I love that hula hoop thing. I'm gonna have to write that down. Did you patent it?
Yeah. Well, I haven't trademarked it yet, so you go ahead.
Oh, we're gonna trademark that. That is good. That is good, because I can just see it. I can only control what's inside this hula hoop. And thinking about it from a hula hoop perspective, it's a balancing act in the first place. So I control what's inside this hula hoop. I love it. Now, I'm telling you, you might see that show up somewhere else. I love it. So you officially complete your assignment with Gateway of Hope Ministries. And so tell us what you are up to these days.
Well, so I was the executive director for Gateway of Hope for 8 years, as you know, just sharing that with anybody who may not know. And that was quite a growing experience for me. But around year 6, I could just feel this unsettling in my spirit that there was something else, and I needed to prepare for the next leader to come on, because there's something else, there's more for me to do, or something else for me to do. And there's a lot of things in my heart that I want to do, but I have a passion to help Black women, especially, to navigate some of the challenging situations that occur in the workplace. And being a Black woman myself, being a leader, being somebody who has had to navigate those difficult times, I just have a passion for doing that now. And I wanted to become untethered from an organization so that I can focus on that as my passion. So what I'm doing now is I'm doing counseling, I do coaching. So I have private clients, but I also have contract clients where I go into spaces to help encourage people, to train them. I facilitate a workshop for educators. I have one coming up for the Hickman Mills School District in a week or so. I just did something for Harvard University for their Association of Black Faculty, Staff, and what they call them fellows. They're Black faculty, administrator, and fellows. Yeah, Harvard University. If you've been watching the news, they are still having some trouble at Harvard. And yeah, that's a high level Ivy League school, but made of people, and they're struggling with some issues at Harvard. And so I went in and did a wellness workshop for them. So since I've taught in higher ed, I certainly can understand how things work in higher ed and in secondary ed. So doing more of that. And I'm excited about this new recruiting role. I'm working for Moran and Company, and I am recruiting and opening up the option for Black men, women, and other, people of color to learn about some of the opportunities to lead nonprofits that are looking for their new executive director. And so I'll be doing that and reaching out to my network and letting my network know and asking them to let others know. Because what happens, Dr. Janice, is that many of these boards are who hire, because you were on the board. Boards hire executive directors. And if you don't have people on your board who have a diverse pool or who value diversity, that you may get just a certain type of person to apply for that job. I am excited for expanding and opening that role to more Black and brown professionals.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about what you're going to do some coaching. Tell us about what's your sweet spot when it comes to coaching. What kind of woman or what situation is a woman in that she can come to you for coaching and get that second win? Tell us about that.
So I had a new client on Saturday, turning 45. She said, Miss D, my aunt said that I'm half of 80. So, and I never thought about it. She's half of 80. So I better get my life together. I love working with women who are between 40 and 50 years old because you have enough energy to move forward and do what's in your heart, but you have enough seriousness to know that you have half of your life behind you. You better get on the ball and do what God has called you to do. So my sweet spot is helping women between 40 and 50 years old who want to fulfill their purpose. They are unfulfilled right now in their job. Maybe they don't know what to do. And so we start with, I have a framework, CLEAR, CLEAR. C stands for compass. So I help them figure out what they want to do by learning about yourself. What are your goals? What are your values? And then we look at exposing, the E, in exposing negative self-talk and fear. Usually it's fear that keep women from fulfilling their purpose that they feel is in their heart. A is for align for abundance. And then R is replace ineffective habits, because our habits make our life. So I really enjoy working with professional women who want to pursue their God-given purpose, and they're serious. I like to work with serious women who are on point and who will do the work to move forward.
How come I didn't meet you when I was 40?
One time. It was a time.
Yeah, but again, that's a perfect timing, because around 40 is when your kids are pretty much well on their own. Your marriage is settled or unsettled, either one. And you're ready to start focusing on you at that point, on really doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you were created to do for such a time as this. But so often we let everything else get in the way, our kids, our jobs, and then we wake up one day and say, what about me? And so I can see what a benefit that type of coaching is to an individual to help you again get that second win and run forward, run forward, and to really be and do what God created you to do. I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
now you've started this coaching program. That do you launch group coaching or do you see individuals? How are you doing your coaching?
Right now, I'm doing individuals. I am going to be launching a group program in the fall, but I have to put some pieces in place for that. I actually started the coaching back in 2010. I have some materials. You know how we keep our materials, and I was looking at some of the materials I had, but I just wasn't ready to just pursue it at that time, but I am now. And I love talking about courage and confidence and choices because it does take courage to move in the direction that God has called you to do. And the courage comes from our faith and trust in God. But courage is the ability to move forward one step at a time in the face of adversity and in spite of how you feel. So courage demands adversity. Okay, you don't need courage if there's nothing coming against you. And so just like with you and things are growing, you come to a point where you have to really muster that courage because what's in front of you is very big and scary, but God is with you. And many women shrink at that point because they're afraid, but the Lord is not pleased with us shrinking because that's an indicator that we're not really holding on to him in true faith. The Israels paid 40 years for shrinking. Yeah. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to move forward in courage. And it's helpful to have somebody alongside you to encourage you. You and I encourage each other. We have, other women who encourage us. We all need somebody who believes in us and won't judge us and who will support us and be our cheerleader. Yeah, because it can be very scary. Life can be very
scary. So I'm asking for a sister friend.
Okay.
This sister friend has felt like she missed her window in actually doing the things that she was created to do. Now, how would you help this sister friend?
I would tell her, do what you can with what you have now. There is, and I understand the regret, and I believe that the Lord is able to navigate, and not navigate, but to bring things together. If you missed your opportunity before, and he has a plan for your life, he is able to bring things together now, or in your present, so that you can fulfill that destiny. So, God is God. He is able to do that. And sometimes I think we give ourselves too much credit. But we do have an enemy who wants to keep us stuck in regret. That has certainly been part of my journey, is lamenting about some of the mistakes I made. If I had been more serious when I was younger, I wish I had known about counseling, or I would have majored in psychology and had my doctorate. You could bury yourself in shoulda, woulda, couldas, but what we have to do is put those regrets in their place, which is in a closet, metaphorically speaking, and deal with what we have now and make the most of the opportunities that are in front of us, because now you have wisdom. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from skill. Okay. Maybe back then you were starting from zero and you would have messed it up. So, we have this idea that if I had done X, Y, Z, then I would be fine. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. So I really encourage women to do what you can with what you have now. And that certainly has been part of my journey, is forgiving
Mhm.
myself for some of the bad decisions I made. I did it to me. I can't blame nobody else. I
Right.
did it. so, so, there we got to give ourselves grace and mercy, but that is why I'm so passionate about
Mhm.
this work and about doing what God has called me to do, because I remember where I came from, and I want to make the most. Not that I'm making up for the screw ups that I
Mhm.
did, but I just want to make the most of what I have now. And that's really all we can do.
That's all we can do. I love the in our day and time we said shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? But now
Hmm.
they've added a new version of that of shooting all over yourself.
Hmm.
And so when I think of it in those terms, it makes me see it a whole different way. It makes me stop all of that shoulda, woulda, coulda stuff, because it
Hmm.
will just take you down a rabbit hole and depress you and make you feel guilty and make you feel useless and hopeless and those kinds of things. And that's not
Yeah.
what God intends for us.
Right. So,
Not.
two things that I tell my clients to ask themselves: is it true, and is it helpful? It may
Mhm.
have been true that you should have done XYZ, but is it helpful for you to beat yourself up now for something that you cannot change? It might be
I love
true. I don't know, but it
it.
ain't helpful. So let's put it away, all right? Because we want to do things that are helpful to our purpose.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Oh my God, man, we can sit here and talk all day, like all day. But what I want to do is ask you to give our listeners some a quick word of the day, or a favorite scripture or something that can encourage them along their journey to get that second win.
Wow. Well, there's so many things that I would say start now.
Mhm.
Get a coach,
Mhm.
because you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And I have a coach. I
Mhm.
have a group of girlfriends that are very supportive. I have a business coach as well, because I'm not messing around, and I
Mhm.
I want to I want to see the blind spots, and I will ask for help. If I have a headache, I will take an aspirin. So I'm
There you
not
go.
I'm not I'm not proud about asking for help, but you got to ask
Mhm.
the right people. But I am learning
Mhm.
that it takes endurance.
Mhm.
We want things fast. We want it to take a year, 2 years. It may take longer than that.
Mhm.
And I think faith is a huge help, because when you hear God's voice and you know that you know that you know He's with you, and you know that you know that you know that if you are going in the wrong direction, He will let you know.
Yes.
So I'm in a situation right now. I don't call it wilderness, but I'm in this long journey. I'm not hearing anything, which to me means keep going.
Mhm.
Because, he's like, I'll tell you when you need to take a turn or get off the ramp or whatever. So, it's faith, it's endurance, it's courage, it's clarity, it's having a vision, it's having supporters. There's a lot to it. Certainly, yeah, I would love for people to stay in touch with me, because with I do a newsletter twice a month, the Second Wind Snippet, and I try to share what's on my heart with other people to help you.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, there's a lot to that. And then
Yes.
looking at programs like this, asking for a sister friend and learning from other sisters.
Oh yes, and I really appreciate what you just said. That sometimes when we don't hear God, that causes us to stop rather than keeping moving forward. Because again, if He's already set you on the path, you just stay on the path, right? And then you'll get to where you need to go, and He'll let you know when you need to turn right or left. I love that. I appreciate that. That blessed me today. I tell you.
Amen.
So you
Amen.
talked about how some of the things you're doing. Let's see. How can everybody find you? Let me see. Let me I got your information up here. So your website is www.secondwindcc.com. www.secondwindcc.com. And so you're also, you said you do a newsletter, right? So they can sign up for your newsletter at your website, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. And also, you show up on Facebook talking about is it time for a second win? So tell us about your weekly second win.
Well, you are one of my role models, Dr. Janice, and you've been doing this thing on StreamYard for years. You know, you've done different variations, and I just admire you so much. So one day I said, you know, I need I need to do something, because how will people know? Not everybody wants to come in the counseling office, but there are certain things like the hula hoop, and I'm glad Thalisa, hey
Mhm.
Thalisa, and some of the other ladies who are on, you know, something something like the hula hoop, when you hear it, it's like, wow, yeah, I can use that. And so I
Mhm.
just thought, you know, my mentor, my sister friend, Dr. Janice, is doing this thing. So let me try this technology. And so yes, I come on, I air every Thursday at 1 o'clock for about 20 minutes. And I'm just sharing one strategy for success. I call it the psychology of success. That's the underpinnings of it, and what are some things that will help you be successful. And we've talked about several of those things already, you know, but that's what I'm trying to do, is just get the information out there, just trying to help some folks from what I have learned, what the Lord has blessed me with. And yeah, so every Thursday Central Time at 1 o'clock, on Facebook, and then I'll have it also on my YouTube channel. And again, back to educating primarily Black women, but all women, because I have some
Mhm.
white women. I've got a couple of Latina women that work with me or that are my clients. But since I'm a Black woman, I understand that struggle, and I want to help to navigate, especially as we have this backlash of against DEI, against affirmative
Mhm.
action, and so things are getting really dicey and somewhat complicated in many of these large companies and universities, and
Mhm.
just really trying to help folks to navigate that space.
Wow. Wow. So you've shared so much today. I've been writing down notes and getting all these nuggets. So hopefully, ladies, those of you who have joined us today, hopefully you've gotten a nugget, or maybe you recognize that it's time for you to get a second win. That you don't have to stop now. That you can regain that strength and that energy, and keep running to make sure that you finish the race. So again, we have been here for asking for a sister friend. And always remember that we can learn from each other. Proverbs 27:17 from the Good News Translation says, people learn from one another, just as iron sharpens iron. And I am doing this, asking for a sister friend, because I feel like no woman should ever grow alone, whether she is growing her business alone or whether she is growing to be the woman that God created, called, and chose her to be. So, Dacia, I just love you. Thank you so much for being my guest today and for sharing so many nuggets with everyone. If you have any questions or anything, put them in the comments. You all know the routine, that if you have any questions or anything, put them out there. But we have lots of comments. Courage demands adversity. Whew, somebody
Yeah,
got really excited about that. And they
yeah.
say it's very rich. And you have a cheer squad out there who is, you already know Felisa is cheering you on for the wonderful things that you are doing. So once again, thank you so much. We are going to close it out with the video, and I want you to hang around, and I'm gonna have you back so we can see how your journey's going.
I would
All
love to
right.
be back. And thank you
All
for
right.
doing this. Thank you for making this space available for women. Yeah.
Hello, this is Dr. Janice Our Love, and would you like to be my special guest on Asking for a Sister Friend? Then I invite you to visit pearlsperfectedinstitute.com and visit the About page. We'd love to see how you can help a sister friend.